Are you running your way right into bad knees, a bad lower back, and Achilles tendonitis? We're going to find out why that is, and most importantly, I'm going to tell you what to do to fix it. What's up guys, Jeff Cavaliere, ATHLEAN-X.com. Today we're going to talk about running. Now, even you guys that have the ATHLEAN-X program that do our burst training, you know what a role running plays in our high intensity interval training. Now you know that we feel that the long distance marathon type running, not the best, not the most conducive to building muscle or preserving muscle at that matter. But at the same time, guys, there's another adverse effect from that, and even from running fast, and that is running can do damage to your joints, especially if you're not concentrating on where you're landing when you're running. So in this video, what I wanted to do is talk to you guys about the different landing positions and what they mean and what they could be doing to the rest of your body. So with that said, the three places that you're generally landing when you run are either on your heel. Now there's lots of evidence that they looked at some of the top runners in the world. 90% of runners run on their heels, meaning when they strike the ground, their heel hits first out in front of their body. Okay? The second type of runner is the toe runner. A lot of sprinters will claim that they run on their toes. That's a good thing, but they're the guys that actually land out here up on their toes. The third place that people could run that they often don't, it's the least representative of those three positions, is on the midfoot. The midfoot is when all toes are on the ground, but you still have your heel off the ground. Now I want you to try a quick test. Whether or not you know where you run, again, most likely if you had to guess, you're probably a heel runner based on that evidence of the fact that most of the people that run do run on their heels. But I want you to do a quick test for me. Even with your shoes on, I want you to pick your toes up and jump up and down a few times. Okay? First of all, not only should you have a complete lack of spring in your step, but it should kind of jolt the whole lower body. You should feel the jolt every time your heels hit. That goes right through your heels, up through your ankles, into your knees, and even I feel it right here in my low back and hips. That should tell you something. That when you land on your heels, you completely lack shock absorption. Now think about if you do that every single step when you run, for miles and miles and miles. There's a lot of stress going up through your body that's not good. Cumulatively, it's going to cause a bad problem over long term into your low back and the rest of your knees and ankles. On the other hand, if you go up on your toes and you jump up and down on your toes, and I'm talking extreme toes, way up here, as high as you can go. It feels better, it feels a lot more springy, but the fact of the matter is here, we're sort of overutilizing and overstressing our Achilles tendon, right? This is basically a calf raise. And if we land in that contracted position over and over and over and over again, we've got a lot of stress on that tendon, which again can lead to issues over time, breakdowns of our Achilles tendon in terms of tendonitis. So if we were to ideally want to be someplace where we wanted to land, it would be right there on the balls of your feet. And anybody that has done, again, our burst training workouts where we advocate jumping rope, you're right there, guys, on the balls of your feet. You have the perfect combination of shock absorption and spring. Because as you land, you can absorb that blow, and then you can propulse yourself right back up off of your feet. So now let's look at that in terms of running. When we run, guys, if we know that the ideal place to be is here on the balls of our feet, you're going to need to make sure that you don't have your heel too far out in front of your body. As a matter of fact, when you put your heel out in front of your body, you're pushing off of the back leg and you're putting the brakes on with the front leg. Think about that. As this heel hits the ground, it's basically saying, whoa, hold on a second, stop, decelerate, and then you do it all over again. Where this one's saying, whoa, go Jeff, go. Right? This is pushing, this is stopping. It's actually contradictory to what you're actually trying to do. So we don't want that. And again, that heel into the ground causes a big force to go right up through that leg and cause problems. So the main key is we want to make sure that when that foot lands, that it's landing ideally underneath our hip. So instead of the foot, look, the leg's going to go out in front of you. There's no doubt your leg is going to pass out in front of you. But where are you landing? And if you can see right here, as I land on the ball of my feet right here with my foot underneath my hip. But there's one thing I'm not doing. The last piece of the puzzle here, guys, is you want to lean your trunk forward. Especially as you start to run faster, you'll see all the top sprinters are leaning like this. Okay? They're not just leaning towards the finish line, they're leaning like this throughout their run. They do that to get their center of gravity more forward, to allow themselves, as they come down, to again get that foot right up underneath their hip. The last key point, I lied, I said the other one was the last key point. The main focus you should have, guys, you should not have quiet glutes when you run. Your glutes should be actively pulling your leg back. You should feel as if you're pawing at the ground to actually propel yourself forward. It's not a passive move. It's not this. You're not working your hip flexors to run. You're using your glutes to drive the leg back against the ground, use the friction between your foot and surface of the ground to push you to the next step. And again, when that lands, it's landing right here, boom, underneath. You're leaning forward, it's pushing you, and you go on. So start concentrating on where you're running. If you're a heel runner, you're doing this kind of thing with your leg out in front of you, no good. Because, again, you're most likely going to cause yourself some knee problems. Now, there is one indication here. If you guys are runners and you have a lot of knee pain, and you want to get rid of that knee pain, you're going to want to become, again, more of a toe runner. More towards the toe. Midfoot would be best, but get more towards the toe. If you're somebody dealing with Achilles tendonitis right now, and every time you run you feel it, you're going to want to get more towards your heel. Now again, the best part is in the middle, but you're going to have to, if you can do one thing to make that feel better today, it's going to be to get more towards the heel if all of your pain is Achilles tendonitis when you run. All right? But the idea is we want to get you in the center where you're supposed to be and start to ingrain that by using the right mechanics when you run. Alright guys, I hope you found this helpful. I get a lot of requests here on running type videos. Whether you are a long distance runner or whether you are a sprinter doing the type of high intensity training and running that I believe you should be doing, it doesn't matter, the running mechanics are going to be the same, and you're going to want to make sure you have an eye on what you're doing to make sure you're not breaking down during the process of trying to get healthy. If you guys want a complete program where we just don't incorporate running, but we incorporate weight training and flexibility and the right nutrition and everything combined, and that's the ATHLEAN-X program, guys, and that's where we train athletically and where I coach you guys as if you're my own athlete. All right, and we can get that over at ATHLEAN-X.com. In the meantime, guys, make sure you leave your comment below. What type of runner are you? And make sure, above all else, you try that drill, because as soon as you try to do the 3 different landing positions, you'll see right away where you should be. All right, guys, we'll be back here soon with another video.